game against the Baltimore Ravens. I couldn't be happier because I live in Baltimore area. All my friends are Ravens fans. So they don't get to be too upset after this week, though I will admit, hey, Harbaugh, nice excuse at the end of the game. Way to take the blame off of yourself, Harbaugh, like you always do, because it's always the ref's fault. Always the other team doing something they shouldn't have done, and the ref should have called it. Bad call! Bad call! The Ravens calling again about the bad calls all day long. But what did he do this time? He threw his injured All-Pro under the bus. We had to go for 2 at the end of the game because, golly darn it, Humphreys was hurt, and he couldn't play in overtime. He wasn't Southern. Sorry, he's more Baltimore-ese. My bad. Not making fun of Southerners. Let's go with Baltimore-ese. Hoyne, I'm sorry, but, that Humphreys character, he just couldn't go out on the overtime. So we had to go for 2, and they lost it. They boned it. I was so happy when they went for 2 because they've been 3-0 this year in overtime. Today, they're not going to overtime with the best kicker in history, broken NFL record earlier this year in overtime to beat the then winless Detroit. Congratulations, Detroit, for finally getting your win. You were too good of a team to go winless all year. Honestly, you're playing a lot of teams really hard this year, and it's going to be a really good team next year if Detroit's going to be drafting really low with all this talent that almost won them 5 games already. So, but going back to Harbaugh, man, it's all on you, bub. It's all on you. We're taking questions. We're taking comments. Guys, this is live. This is your Steeler Nation vidcast, and this is my favorite always. I love communicating. Chow, chow, Dad. Starting it up. Chow, chow. How are you, my friend? Always good to hear you. Shout out to the surprise heroes. Leglue, Adams, Witherspoon, Lane, and Wormley. And guys, this is it. This is what we've been talking about all year. You complained about it the last time when we had the vidcast. Why is it that every time we're playing another team, the former Steeler kills us, makes a big play against us? Because they want to make a big play against the team that didn't want them anymore. It's a form of pride. They want to step up. They want to have their best game against the team that got rid of them. Now Wormley, case in point. 2.5 sacks. Putting on his big boy pants. Playing a career game, 3.5 sacks total in his career. Nearly doubled it in 1 game. 1 game, Wormley showed up against his Baltimore town. Awesome game. Absolutely awesome. And with Watt on the same side of him getting 3.5, that side just got decimated. 3, 4, 5, that's 6 sacks off the left side. The only sack coming off the right side was our man Hayward working hard like he always does, man. Hayward has it. Hayward always has it. But that was awesome to see. And still, we got to give more shouts out. Like Leglue coming up. Leglue had a great preseason, guys. Alex Kozora was saying high things about him. He's position flexible. He can play just about every position on the offensive line. Glad that he got called up because it's good to have an actual guard in there that knows how to play guard as opposed to these tackles playing in a phone booth. And it just showed case in point. That was just a great game by Leglue coming in, blocking for, unfortunately, BJ going down hurt early in the game with that back, which has been giving him issues here for the last couple weeks, but he was trying to push through it. Now he's out. Leglue came in, did well, and Adams out of nowhere, guys. Adams just came out of nowhere. I mean, this is a guy that was on New Orleans on their hidden on their practice squad, to tell you the truth. He wasn't getting many starts. He wasn't getting many looks. And to tell you the truth, my gosh, he's not even listed on the Steelers depth chart yet. I think it was just a 1-game call-up for him so far because he's still probably listed on the practice squad. As I'm looking right now, where's Mr. Adams? Man, I can't even find Adams on the roster. He's got to be around here somewhere. I got to find him. He's just got a crazy number or something. We'll go with the player names. There he is. Montrevius Adams playing defensive tackle. 6'4". And this is honestly, like, I was just talking about this on the Colorcast last night. Adams has had maybe 6 total starts in his NFL career until last night. And he had about as many tackles as he had games played in. 51 games, about 50 tackles or so. But last night, 2.5 tackles, playing hard, or 2 tackles and it looks like 2 combined. Sorry, 1 solo, 1 assist, but 2 combined tackles, and just taking up that space in the front. Pass defensed as well for my man, Montrevius. So big game for him out of the box. Plus, he allowed Wormley to his left and Hayward to his right to be able to play their positions. Hayward was coming down playing the nose. He was playing 0 to 3 tackle last game, and it didn't help us. You need him playing his 3 to 5 tech. You need him on the outside, over top of the guard to the tackle. That's where he plays. That's where he's the most effective. That's where he's the most disruptive. That's where he's an all-pro. And I didn't think that Adams would be that kind of a difference maker. I talked about it when he came to the team. I mean, he's a guy that came through Green Bay, was there for 4 years. He was with New Orleans earlier this year, so he's in his 5th season. But he only had 6 total starts in his career until last game. And tell you the truth, even if Buggs is healthy, I want Adams on the field. I want Adams on the field from here on out. He played a hell of a game, didn't make mistakes, took up blockers, came down, dove and made a tackle that could have been more yardage on that one running play where he got to the outside. Witherspoon holding it down on the edge, where we've been having trouble with anybody holding it down on the edge over there, because Pierre, I suck again, had a bad game last game, man. And, I just want him to do better. Like, I just want that side to be a better side. And Witherspoon this is what we were expecting. We drafted him. We gave up a draft pick. It's like, this is a starter capable guy. He should be able to come in, give us 2-3 starts if Sutton goes down, if Hayden goes down, which Hayden has gone down now. And it just seems like we weren't giving them the chances yet. Now, finally giving them the chances. Witherspoon came in for a full game and he looked great. Lane doing great on special teams as always. Much better game as well. Looked like they kind of diminished Pierre quite a bit this past game. But it's the way it goes sometimes. You have a bad game, you're going to get bumped, and this is what Tomlin said. If you're not playing, there's going to be schematic changes or there's going to be personnel changes. And we had some big personnel changes. Case in point right here, Chow Dad. He listed them out for you. Like glue, Adams, Witherspoon, Lane, and Wormley. Big one. The Wormley's the starter. He's been starting ever since Tua played, but good shout out at least to Wormley. And he does deserve to have his name called as well. Mike Wood over there on Facebook. Let's go Steelers. Always, man. Good to hear from you. Good to hear from you. You guys out of your questions or comments, please shoot it up. Let us know. Chow Dad chiming back in. Adams played with no fear. Couple times pre-snap. Cameron Wormley pointed out where they wanted him to go, and he did amazing. And that's great. That's all you can ask for to a guy that's, because it's his first time playing with us. I mean, he hasn't played in a game with the Steelers ever. Got on the field his first time. Yeah, I don't want you to play 2 tech, bump down to 1. I want you to play the gap, or I want you nose up on the center, take 2 guys. And and hey, he did it. I don't know what Buggs is doing. Buggs is just like doing his own thing. One of these kids is doing his own thing. I guess that's Buggs shouting out to my old songs from Sesame Street. Everything's up here. All the music that I ever listened to as a kid just got locked up there. Sheila Ed, love my Steelers. We love them too. We love them too, guys. And big game like this. This is one of those games too. Like, I wasn't expecting anything out of this game. I was actually expecting a blowout. I'm not going to lie. I love my team. I will root for them to the bitter end. But after watching that Cincinnati game, I didn't think this team had another win in them, to tell you the truth. That I wouldn't say they wouldn't play with heart. They were just outplayed. They were outplayed on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They just couldn't compete. Because that's something that Hayward took offense to when they said, well, what's it like to have your team like quit on you, play without heart? And Hayward's like, nah. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to say that. This team has too much pride to say that it doesn't have heart. And they do have heart. And they showed it against the top team in the AFC North coming into this game with a number 1 seed in the AFC coming into this game. Steelers punched him in the mouth. Both lines of scrimmage. We didn't give up on the run the whole game. We ended up pounding and pounding and pounding, and lo and behold, third, fourth quarter, Najee starts getting some yards. Najee starts getting to the second and third level. That's the way we do it. That's what we got to push it down, playing a little bit more pistol instead of shotgun. Making them think, hey, are they going to run this time? Are they going to pass? Who knows? Freezes the linebackers, those young inside linebackers. Queen's a young kid. Freeze him, man. He hasn't seen everything yet. We got to keep him thinking. Good mental game. Lori Reed, love my Steelers forever. Hell yeah, Lori. Always great to hear the shout outs to our Steeler. And the love for Steeler Nation has for our own Pittsburgh Steelers. We're always all over that. Deontay Johnson, I got to talk about him first too, because this is a guy that led the NFL in dropped passes last year. And it seemed like every time he dropped a pass, it compounded on the fact that he's going to drop more. His head wasn't in it. He lost his whole ability to play football, it seemed like last year when he was dropping passes. But this year, big drop in the end zone. He had it in both hands, a la Lima Swede, and it hit his both hands. I thought he had it for sure. Came out of his hands, hit the ground. It was a drop, which would have been 6. What did he do from then? Didn't drop a ball, balled out the whole rest of the game, ended up getting 2 more touchdowns to finish out. That was an Antonio Brown-esque performance. You guys remember him coming at the end of the game, coming in the fourth quarter, getting all the targets, getting open quickly, making the tough catches, making the touchdowns, getting the scores. That was Antonio Brown-esque. So it's good to see that DJ is starting to play like AB, not the AB now that can't get on the field because of his fake vaccination cards, but the AB that used to be an all-pro player, one of the best, and pushing Jerry Rice for the all-time catches, receptions, yardage leaders. Had a chance. He was on a track for it. Now, not so much. Because as Tomlin said, he had all the talent in the world, but he didn't have it between the ears. And fortunately, he's someone else's problem now. Love the guy to death. He was my favorite, probably my favorite receiver to watch other than Hines Ward. But man, what a detriment he was as a teammate. And that sucks. But DJ, not only is he a great player on the field, it seems like he's saying all the right things off the field too. He's humbled. He's a bit humbled this year. He led the league in drops last year, so he knows how much work it takes to get to want to be the best receiver in the league. Going out there catching tennis balls every game, catching tennis balls like one-handed and helping them concentrate on the football. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. You don't just automatically be awesome. And just because you have the talent, you got to work hard at it to make sure that your talent is going to always be better than the talent in front of you. So keep chiming in, Steeler Nation. There's another guy I've got to talk about, and I want to know what you guys think on this too. And we've been talking about it a few times. Is this Ben Roethlisberger's last ride? Is it? I mean, I've been talking about it earlier this year. I said there's no way a quarterback takes a $14 million pay cut to stay on a team thinking he's going to come back the next year. Just doesn't make financial sense. Because that's like, oh, you only played for 19 this year. You can play for 19 again next year. No. Ben Roethlisberger is not a $19 million a year quarterback. He doesn't have a billionaire wife like Gazelle jumping over there in the plains of Africa or wherever she's photo shooting to be able to supplement that income other than the TB12 crap that the NFL uses to bypass his salary. Absolutely. I don't know how that's not illegal. Don't know how that's not illegal, especially when New England was directly paying his company. He's the best quarterback ever, paid like a mid-tier guy. Something's up. Something's up. And they get away with more than, I guess, any other team in the nation. I don't know how, but they do. But either way, back to Ben. Ben doesn't have a billionaire wife, girlfriend, but, you know, I think this is honestly his last year. I said it at the beginning of the year with the pay cut. And he's been getting banged up. I mean, that elbow, I was surprised he came back from the elbow injury, to tell you the truth. That could have been a spot where he's like, are we done? He talked it over with the family. It was a big possibility of them being done, to tell you the truth. And it came down to his wife's decision, which he was like, if you say I'm done, I'm done. I'm going to be a dad and a husband from now on. But nope. She's like, if you feel you can do it, go out and do it again. And he's been back, played way above expectations, 10 or 11 straight wins to start the season last year before it started showing a little bit. But man, is he a hell of a quarterback. He can just do it anyway. And another thing that the league doesn't like to talk about, Ben just had his 51st career fourth quarter comeback game. He's number 3 all time, just past Tom Brady. And he never gets nationwide credit for being a comeback quarterback. Did it in the Super Bowl. Never gets credit for being a comeback quarterback. Oh, that was his receiver. That was Santonio Holmes catching that ball. Well, he caught all the balls on that drive except for one. One ball was to our man, the Tiffin Tornado, Nate Washington, who ended up having a great career in Tennessee after he left our team. He was a heck of a receiver as well. I like that guy. But it's not just the receivers. It's Ben makes these receivers better because we've only got a handful of receivers that were ever better after leaving Ben. And I'd argue the only one really that was better after leaving Ben was Emmanuel Sanders. And that's because he went to go play for another Hall of Fame quarterback in Manning. I mean, look at AB with freaking Brady. He's not playing like he played with Ben. He's a good receiver, but he's not as good as he was playing with Ben. That's something else, man. You got to give credit where credit was due. Ben makes receivers. He's got a lot of people that he really brought up to make great receivers in this league. And they say we draft receivers so well. We're the best team at drafting receivers. Maybe we draft receivers so well because Ben Roethlisberger's the one throwing these guys some balls. Maybe. Think about that. That'd be interesting. But I personally don't want him to leave. Hate to see him leave. Lori's chiming in too. Oh, I hope not. Love Big Ben. I do too, Lori. I do. I'd love to see him come on, but I think this is his last ride. It's, the path to come back next year, especially when, if he decides to come back, it's just going to really screw with the cap. And if we're trying to rebuild, we need Ben's money. And I don't care. We know how good he is. Yes, we do. Steeler Nation always has known how good Ben is. Everybody else in the league wants to worry about what kind of a jerk he was and his bad decisions that he made when he was an immature ass. And he'll admit it too. But since 2010, he's been nothing but an upright citizen. And he's been a big proponent around the league, buying canines every time he goes to another city. He buys a canine for the police department. That's stuff that the league doesn't talk about. He's a good man. Guy's a really good man. He's been working hard. He's very religious now. Wants to be a great person, great community person for the city of Pittsburgh. Working hard to be a great father, great husband. And, some people it just takes a longer time to turn around, and he lived a very charmed life where he could do no wrong, winning football games, winning Super Bowls. That would have been his. That would have been his. Now it would have been his first year because he came out as a junior. His freshman year was his first year in the league when he won 15 straight games before losing in the playoffs in the AFC Championship game. And then, of course, his second year in the league, which he would have been a rookie, I guess, if he stayed for his senior year. But fortunately, he didn't. He dropped to our spot, and we picked him up, and that was a steal. Probably the best draft pick the Steelers ever had fall into their laps. Now might be T.J. Watt falling at 25 into their laps, because now we're talking about T.J. Watt. Guy misses a game, comes back from his injury. I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be as good. Gets COVID on Monday. I don't know if he's going to play. Cleared COVID in 5 days. Was at home running around trees, chasing pets around the yard like a madman. He needs to do that every week because he had a career game with 3.5 sacks. I loved every second of watching that. Wow, Watt. And now, not only are we starting to get consensus, it seems like, around the league to finally say, yeah, this guy should be Defensive Player of the Year. This guy should be Defensive Player of the Year. He was the 2-time should have been Defensive Player of the Year the previous 2 years, in my opinion. Honestly, should have won it last year. Was still up there the year before when Robinson took it from him. But this year, man, it's no question. And now, the interesting rumblings, is TJ Watt possibly MVP caliber right now. Let's think about it. MVPs win you games. They're your most valuable player. If they're not on the field, you're not winning football games. So I'm going to look up his stats here quickly because I know him forcing the fumble in that Seattle game in overtime was a big play that gave the Steelers the win. That was a win right there. Probably the first, so that would have been his first win of the game in that Seattle game. That was really him. But oh yeah, the big sack fumble in the Buffalo game as well. That could go up to being a win. Could. Cleveland game. Man. 6 sackles, 3 quarterback hits, 1 TFL, 1.5 sacks. Good game there as well. 3 sacks against Chicago and a win in a tight game. Tightly contested. Detroit still played well with only 1 sack, though. 3 solo tackles. Didn't play as well as he normally did. That's why we didn't win that game, obviously. Cincinnati, I didn't think was his best game at all. He looked like he was playing hurt. He was a little slow. They were doubling him. It didn't seem like he could get off of any blocks, let alone double teams. But last game, 3.5 sacks, 5 tackles, 6 combined tackles, 3 TFLs, 6 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble, which should have ended the game. That forced fumble stays in bounds. They're not even throwing for a touchdown. Steelers win by a full score. They win by a full score. But fortunately, they got to hold them off just enough to come down, watch them score to tie the game, or to be a 1 point below, and watch our ball. Oh, I'm the smartest quarterback or smartest coach in the league. Watch what I'm going to do here on the road with my team already 3-0 in overtime. The best kicker ever. Nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to say we got to go for it because our cornerback's hurt. Our cornerback is hurt. What if you started with football, go down and score a touchdown, Hairball? Hairball. You choked. My cat does that, Hairball. The choke on a 2-pointer. And then you make excuses because you're a coward. You're a coward, Hairball. Man, you should be the Bengals coach being a Hairball. We need the Bengals to have a Hairball as a coach. I make myself laugh now. But either way, I'm glad he made the call. I was fully confident sitting in that stadium. The Steelers are going to stop this play. There's no way they're going to score on this 2-point conversion. And Watt was the guy in that backfield. He was the one in front of Lamar. So Lamar had to be like, oh crap, Watt's there. Like already, I got to throw around him. And by having to adjust his throw, which was going to be a standard throw, to a wide open Andrews in the flat, because for some reason, play action to a tight end on a flank, going straight out on an out pattern on the goal line looks like a play against our defense. Because you had Edmonds and Bush with their thumb up their butts watching in the backfield. Watt was in the backfield. He's taking care of that. You take care of the guy running out in his pattern. But fortunately, Watt took care of both. He got the pressure, made the guy throw around him, couldn't be accurate enough to get the ball into Andrews' hands. It falls incomplete. Ball game for the Steelers. And nothing is more fun than watching Harbaugh try to come up with excuses in a press conference. That's all the way. Joseph Jester, I hate Harbitch. He whines at every flag. Yes, he does. Bad call. Bad call. Those Ravens always cawing at those bad calls. I always say that to my friends. I'm in the Baltimore area. Because every game they lose, they always blame the rest. But this is one of the few games the Ravens have no one to blame but Harbaugh. It was his decision to go for 2. They had a good play design. I mean, really, Watt was the reason why we won that game. At least 3 games right now committed to being wins that probably would have been losses if we didn't have TJ Watt on this team. And that would have been a catch. If nobody else was standing where Watt was standing on that 2-point conversion, that was a catch. Game was over. Game was over. Yep, we're all having fun. Thanks, Michelle. Hope you're having fun too. We always like to make fun of the Ravens over here. I mean, honestly, like, I don't care how badly we do, and the Ravens are the same way. They don't care how bad they are. If we can beat the other team, that's a win. that helps the psyche of you and loving your team, and what goes for the best rivalry in all of professional sports, in my opinion, is if we beat the Ravens, that's worth it. That's worth the season. And now Steelers have a chance to come back in this. How do they do this? It's like every time the Steelers are down and out, they win a big game like this, and they pull my hopes back up. So looking at the standings here in the division, obviously, we're only a half game back on the Bengals. We're only a game and a half back on the Ravens, which would have been huge. We would have lost to the game to the Ravens. We would have been 3.5 back, and they would have essentially been running away with the division. But listen to the teams that the Ravens have to play in the next 5 weeks. Browns in Cleveland, Packers at home, Bengals in Cincy, Rams at home, and then Steelers at home. Fortunately for them, their 3 toughest games they're playing at home, but this division is tough now. Bengals blew them out the last time they played in Baltimore. Ravens barely beat the Browns last time they played just 2 short weeks ago, 16-10 at home. Don't tell me this is going to be a gimme against a Browns team now coming off a bye. Like, we're in a situation where I don't know if the Ravens are going to win another game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens didn't win another game or only won one. These are tough matchups. 3 divisional games, Rams, 3 divisional games, Rams and Green Bay. These are tough games. Tough games. So we'll have to see what happens. I mean, the Rams are kind of a weird team, though. They've been up and down, but they're starting to play a little bit better now. But if we keep winning, that's a big way. We have to keep pushing on that. Totally agree. Watt is on his way to Defensive Player of the Year. I'm with you, Joseph Jester. That's got to be the way it goes. Money bags. Here we go. Always money bags. Good to hear from you. Glad you're up here on the chat. Let me know what you're thinking, especially for stuff coming up here for the Minnesota game, guys, because we're going to be talking about that shortly as well. Billy Johnson, we need a big win in Minnesota Thursday. You spot it, man. That's it. Short week. Playing the team that just lost to the winless Detroit Lions this week. Minnesota. And this is a team I just don't understand, guys. I really don't, because they've got a quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Guy has 23 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And he's a 5-7 quarterback. How does this happen? I mean, are they this bad everywhere else? Is their defense this terrible that they just can't compete otherwise? I mean, I just don't understand it. I really don't. Because they should have, with that kind of efficiency, I mean, I'm looking all the way across his stats. I mean, these are the best stats of his career right now. 23-3. I mean, he's had 35 touchdowns last year with 13 interceptions, which was still phenomenal. But he had a losing record last year too, 7-9. 26-6 the year before. He's 10-5. That was his good year. Made the Pro Bowl, Minnesota. But he's had over 30 touchdowns twice in Minnesota. He's on his path. He's only 5 away from 30 more this year too. What's up with him though? I don't get it. I don't understand how a guy can be this efficient, a 106 rating, and just can't win games. 5-7. Now losing to Detroit. I mean, I guess he would have been a 500 quarterback if he would have beaten Detroit somewhere. But, you know, this is the way it goes sometimes. And that's all the way it is. Billy Johnson, they love to snub Steelers players, though, always. Yeah, they have. We feel that. Kenny Beamer, how you doing, Kenny? We're in your time slot, man. Don't you have your clock set? You don't have to be sorry ever, though. We're always happy to hear from you, man. Welcome back to the cast, man. Good to hear from you as always, Kenny. Joseph, agree they do, but he is leading the league in sacks with missing, 3 games? Oh, that's valid point. Thank you, Jester. Thank you for bringing us back down to some reality and understanding the context. And if he's a guy that gets sacked a lot, look out, because Steelers are coming off a 7-sack game. and they're starting to get everybody on that line playing a little better. I didn't think Adams was going to be that much of a difference maker, but honestly, everybody looked like they were playing. Even Bush looked like he was playing better this week. Keeping offensive linemen often on the second level, that helps out. With a guy like Adams is taking 2 offensive linemen in front of him. It does. Really helps out. Hopefully you start making more plays off of it now too. Billy Johnson, their losses haven't been by much. A lot of close games. They remind me of the Chargers last year. Yeah, that's a good point too. That's a good point as well. Moneybags, I'm kind of glad it's a short week. Take that momentum right into Minnesota. And it is like Thursday games are just horrible just in general because teams just don't get any time to rest. There's no rest for the weary in this league. You added an extra week for these people to have to play. Now we're playing 17 regular season games instead of 16. And these Thursday games, man, especially you're coming off a division rivalry game where you're beat up anyway. You could use a full week off. Like these are the games where you're playing on 3 days rest, 4 days rest, going right back into it. And these are when injuries happen, man. This is why I'm a little apprehensive about this game. If we can get through this next game relatively unscathed, Steelers might be set up for a run because this is going to be our bye week. This is our last bye week of the year. Got a mini bye. We got 10 games off until our next game against Tennessee. I think we're playing Tennessee next. Let me look on my calendar since I have all the games on my calendar. Yep, Tennessee at home next. So that'll be it. And we'll have to see how they do moving into there. But if we can find a way to win in Minnesota this week, I like our chances against Tennessee without Henry at home. I'll take that bet. I will take that bet anytime. Got to get that money. Yeah, you do. Yeah, we do, Kenny. Sup, money bags? Got a lot of Steeler Nation love here, guys, over at SteelerNation.com. Football forum is filled with great people. So if you want to come over and have a fun and chat, a lot of people know what they're talking about. What time is the game on Thursday? Harold's asking. It is 8:20 Eastern time. So depending on where you are, I guess in Minnesota where they're playing, it would technically be 7:20, but it's 8:20 Eastern time. And I can't wait. I'm psyched. I am psyched. This is something that teams start to grow on. And this was a game where everybody played good on defense, even without Hayden. Hayden seemed to be like a guy that we just had no answer for when he was hurt. But fortunately, we found a way to get back into it. And Love's coming back from Moneybags. Kevin, what's up, bro? Yeah, Steeler Nation in the house. So who at least, Thielen, we don't have to face Thielen this week. Unfortunately, he got hurt. He's going to be out. I guess Jeffries just got activated off a COVID list, so he'll be playing. So that's a way to do it. Lori, smart. I'll be watching Thursday night, taking Friday off of work to go watch the game. Go Steelers. That's the way to do it, Lori. That is the absolute way to do it. That is smart. And that's what I did, at least fortunately, on the Monday night game earlier this year. We took off Tuesday, drove back on Tuesday, took our time. It's a lot easier to stay up late if you're going to take the next day off, especially if you're enjoying a beverage or two, Lori. Not sure what you're up to. I'm drinking a seltzer tonight. One of my favorite breweries. I like Evil Genius, and they did some seltzers as well. And this is a black cherry seltzer that my cat's trying to get to right now. What do you want, cat? Man. Hey, kitty. My kitty's a Bengals fan. Unfortunately, she's a striped tailless tabby. But she's giving me crap about the Bengals this year sweeping the Steelers. But at least for you guys, I enjoy beveraging well, and to toast to you guys and all the Steeler Nation, to your health, to the Steelers' health, and to another victory. That's a good toast. I'm going to remember that. I think that's going to be the official toast from now on. To your health, to the Steelers' health, and to another Steelers victory. Man, that's it. Put it in the books. Beamer, put it in the books. We can't forget that one. And not sure how you guys are planning on doing that. I'm actually going to be on a road trip. I'm going to be in an RV heading down to New Orleans. I'm going to be watching that game in the New Orleans area, it looks like, on Thursday night. and then doing the podcast, doing the recording right after that to have that release on Friday at 2:00. Oh, sorry, we changed times. It's Friday at 6:00. DK Pittsburgh Sports, and that's when they premiere the video. So I'm not on it live, but sometimes I try to jump on and answer questions while everybody's going. Thank you, Beamer. I appreciate that on the toast, man. I'm part Irish, and part German. So making the beer and drinking the beer and enjoying the beers in my blood. Though I'm drinking seltzer, I'm trying to keep the weight off, putting on more pounds again. I was doing so well until Thanksgiving. Does that happen to you guys too? Because man, I was down to like my college weight and I put on 10 pounds in like 10 days. It's been tough. Yeah, we had some family stuff going on too. I know I've talked on Steeler Nation a little bit, but yeah, we got to keep moving forward. At least the Steelers have to keep moving forward this week. Anybody that you're afraid of seeing on this team, Steeler Nation, anybody that, should be giving the Steelers a hard time, go ahead and start chiming in now. I'm going to start talking about a couple of these stats that I thought were super interesting from the game. Well, Najee ended up with 100 yards, over 100 yards in the game. He got 71 yards for 21 carries, most of that in the second half, and then adding another 36 yards then in the air off of 5 catches, being the second most targeted player. Most targeted player being Deontay Johnson, 11 targets, 8 catches for 105 yards. He seems to be putting up century yardage now consistently. He's looking like he's into his groove. Ben trusts him. He's getting 10 targets a game. You start catching those balls, DJ, make a couple people miss, you're getting 100 yards every game, and now you're starting to tack on touchdowns, and that's great. Claypool with 2 catches for 52 yards, 2 long ones. I love those drag routes that we're starting to do with Claypool. They look like those DK Metcalf type catches where he just comes across the field and his athleticism and his range and speed and catch radius is just more than anybody else can handle. Start doing it with Chase. And now it's starting to look good. I love seeing that anyway. Love seeing that. And we've got to do it more than just once a game, honestly. Bring them on those drag routes, especially when they're going zone. Or if they're going man, I mean, you're coming to a vacated area. And Claypool can make a guy miss. So we'd like to see that a lot more. So we'll see how that goes. Here we go, Billy Johnson. Edmonds will get burnt as soon as we start running that soft zone defense. I'd like to see more blitzing instead of rushing 4 all the time, especially with Delvin Cook. Yeah, I mean, Cook's a hell of a player. I can't argue that. And my problem with Edmonds is, yeah, he gets a lot of tackles, but he lets a lot of people catch footballs right in front of him. And then he makes the tackle after they catch that football and fall forward. It's not like he's meeting that guy at the catch point. That's just not what Edmonds does. It's not what he does. But with the front 7 playing a little bit better, this is one of the best games out of the front 7. Front 7 with 7 sacks. We're starting to play a little bit better up there in the front 7. That will help out the secondary. It will. Because that's it. You either do it either way. Coverage sacks, you got a great secondary making the plays downfield. Quarterback has to hold on too long. Bam, it's a sack. Other one, front 7's getting in there right away. Pressure on the quarterback. Can't get the ball off in time. Sackaroo. So that's the way it is. And I agree with you. You're preaching to the choir here too, Billy Johnson. I want to see Carl Joseph. I want to see Carl Joseph playing Edmonds' position right now. The only problem with Edmonds right now, he doesn't get hurt and miss games, and he doesn't get COVID. So those 2 things are the only thing that seems like is ever going to sit him down, because his performance hasn't been sitting down. He's been solid enough, but I'd like to see somebody making plays instead of just being a guy. It's why he didn't get a 5th-year option. Minka gets a 5th-year option because he makes plays. He's an all-pro. Edmonds doesn't get a 5th-year option because he's just a guy. We're not going to pay him $9-10 million a year to play safety when we could probably have him back for $5 million, $4 or $5 million. The way he plays, he'd be cheap. He'd be a cheap guy to bring back. Money bags. Claypool across the middle is way more dangerous than we throw him jump balls. I mean, he can do both. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the best like sideline catching receivers I've seen us have, which is a lot of fun to see. And now we got Billy Johnson again. We blitzed, which is new. Lots of laughs. Yeah, we blitzed a little bit more this past game, but it comes down to how we're playing and who we're playing. We're not going to blitz like that every game because teams can play against that. And I think that's something probably the Ravens weren't expecting. Since they're a run team, usually we're not trying to blitz as much on a run team as much as we're trying to contain Lamar Jackson, fence him in, because he's a running back playing quarterback, guys. He's looking to run first. And he can make good throws downfield, but that's the game plan. Steelers know how to beat this guy. Why? Because we don't let him run down the field. We force him to stay in the pocket, and we force him to be a quarterback with his arm, not a quarterback or a running back with his legs. That's how you beat him. He is a better running back than he is a quarterback. And when you can let him move around and run around and make plays with his feet, it opens up everything else downfield. Because now you got players coming up, worrying about him making plays with his leg, abandoning your zone responsibilities, and he makes plays right behind you, dropping those lob passes in right behind you for easy points. And that's the stuff I hate to see. Juan Sizemore, welcome to the show, Juan. Good to hear from you as always, my friend. It's time for a good December run. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we already started with one. So let's get 3 more here for December before, I guess there's only 2 more games in December. Man, they've got the schedule all weird now. No, we got at least 3 more games in December, right? I don't know. I don't have the schedule. Oh, geez, I do have the schedule in front of me. It's right. So, yeah, we had the game on the 5th. We had the game this Thursday on the 9th. That's 2. 3 is Tennessee. 4 is KC. And that is it. And then we have 2 in January, which we should have started the season earlier. I don't like January games unless they're playoff games. Don't know how you guys feel about it. How you feel about now watching the Super Bowl? It seems like around Valentine's Day, now second week as opposed to the first week in February. That's going to be fun. That's going to lead to a lot of fights when we start having Valentine's Day and Super Bowl Sunday on the same night. I think a lot of romance is going to get quashed because of that. We'll have to see how that works out. Kenny, I want TJ and Alex to have a big game this Thursday. I do too. And I want Wormley to show us that it was not an aberration. We know Cam's going to show up. We know TJ's going to show up. I want to see Wormley show up again. I know Highsmith's been playing at a high level this whole year, and I've been really proud of what he was doing. Let's see what he did actually in this game. I know he was at least quiet in the stat column for sacks, but let's see what he did tackle-wise. Highsmith with 3 tackles, 2 TFLs. He was playing the run awesomely. Awesomely. Yeah, geez. That's a great game. If you're not getting sacks, 3 tackles, 2 of them are TFLs. That's a fantastic game out of Alex Highsmith. Keep that up, because that's still making plays for a game where we needed everybody to make plays to win that game, especially TJ Watt. But yeah, I want to see Wormley step up again. I want to see Adams step up again. I want to make sure that it's not a fluke. Adams and Wormley working together. Let's see if those guys can keep it going. And then I want to see Schobert and Bush step up in the middle, because there's no way Bush should only be getting 2 tackles in a game. He's an inside linebacker. If you got Adams eating up tackles, eating up guards and centers in front of you now you have to start making plays. Now you got to start playing downhill and hitting those gaps. That's what I want to see. And for gosh sakes, I'd like to at least see Edmonds make a play. Fingers crossed. Billy Johnson, for sure, it's a great time to get hot, man. Yeah, it is. Yeah, if we can string off 3 right here, these are winnable games, guys. Especially if we just beat the Ravens, playing against Minnesota, who's a team that is just reeling right now on a short week. Their mindset's not going to be in it, at least. Coming in, if the Steelers are going to be playing downhill again and hitting people in the mouth again, we can't play finesse. This Steelers can't win with finesse at all. We're not a finesse team. We got to bang people in the mouth, try to assert our will. Whether or not we're gaining yardage on the ground, keep with it. We'll get yardage. We will get yardage, and it'll come. But yeah, that's the way. Brian Brown, good to hear from you, Brian. It's been a while, my friend. Let's start by beating Minnesota. Hell yes. Hell yes. 1 game at a time. Let's go. Right there with you, Beamer. Any word on Hayden coming back? No, not yet, Juan. I do track the injuries and things like that. It looked like 2 weeks ago it was more promising because he was a limited practice guy. 2 weeks ago than the past week, he didn't practice at all, so he took a step back. So that hurt. Obviously, he was listed as a did not practice on Monday, but it was a virtual practice. Everybody was listed as a virtual practice because literally no one did practice. So I like the way that Tomlin released that one for the injury report because everybody did not practice. But today, Ben came back. You had Hayward and Trey Turner, which were coaches' decisions on the virtual practice, but they came back today. They played, and one other guy came back. Where's my sheet? I didn't have everybody. Claypool with his toe. And he's going to be dealing with that toe injury the rest of the year. Those things, they heal slowly, but he's playing well with it. But he's going to get some games off and some time, not some games off. He's going to get some time off. But at least with Hayden, he's still did not practice both practices, I'm sorry. Same as Isaiah Buggs, BJ Finney with his back, Robert Spillane with his knee. Even though Robert Spillane did come off of the COVID list yesterday, he did not practice either of these two games, and that sucks because I would like to see him back in there as well. And Buggs has an ankle in case anybody wanted to know what Buggs was suffering from. Yep, Billy got that. Yeah, DNP today. We got that. The secondary has to keep getting better as well. You're right, Brian. And it's the whole team as a whole, and it's the toughest thing to do is to get any consistency with a young team when you're having so many different injuries. Offensive line, case in point. That's a tough one because we were starting to play well when everybody was consistently playing the same game. When we had Moore, Dotson, Green, Turner, Chooks, you could see the progression of them getting better every week until people started getting banged up. And then we lost Dotson, and they took them a couple games to figure out how to play guard again. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when it's a young team and you're trying to fill in for people that are assuming these new starting roles and that are starting to play well and starting to get it, but then it throws it in flux again and you got to relearn the guy next to you. And kudos to we were talking on the Steeler Nation chat, kudos to Dan Moore Jr. He's had 3 straight games where he's had a different person starting to his right-hand side. 3 straight games. And he's had 4 different starters over there. J.C. Hassenauer, BJ Finney, Haig played in the box the one time, and then Leglue. 4 different guys playing to his right. And he's still playing at a pretty good level. He's not falling apart. So this is a guy in his rookie year showing he can play in this league. Because he's playing on an island right now with a different starter next to him every week. So let's not forget about that as well. We know that there's room for improvement for these rookies. Sky's the limit now, it seems like, for Moore. And I'd like to see this guy progress and keep progressing. So we'll see how that goes. Brian Brown, every Steelers game is a winnable Steeler game. Yep. Just like Tomlin likes to say, it's always a 5-star matchup because we're in it. That's it. Kenneth Beamer, if Hayden is out this week, I definitely want Spoon in there. And I think that looks like that's what's going to be Beamer because, yeah, Pierre was healthy. He wasn't sitting because he had an injury. He was sitting because of up here. Since it's a vidcast, I can just point to my head. I can hear this in my headphones. I don't know if you guys can. I think it's hollow. But I'll tell you, yeah, he outplayed him. It looks like that's why we brought him in. We expected Witherspoon to be the next corner up on the edge on either side. I think Pierre playing well and Hayden playing well in the preseason helped. Made us think like, oh, we had some other options. But Witherspoon is the guy, and I want to see him there too. Yeah, I like the way he played last week. Let's see how he does this week. Brian Brown, Minnesota is dangerous. They will be mad over losing to the Lions, and they beat the Packers not long ago. That's true. But, divisional games are always your toughest games emotionally, no matter when you play them. And same thing with us. We just had a divisional game too. We had an emotional divisional game where we just beat the Ravens. But it is tough to come off in a divisional game on a short week and have to play somebody from another conference. So we're going to see, is just barely winning going to beat out barely losing to your divisional opponent? Because that's the matchup we have this week. Steelers barely beat the Ravens. Minnesota barely lost to the winless Detroit Lions. I'll tell you one thing. I know they're going to take it a little harder on social media because they lost to an undefeated team. And that's all people on social media look at. How could you lose? They didn't win a game. They're terrible. This Detroit team should have won 4 or 5 games already. They're not a bad team. This is not your dad's 0-16 Detroit Lions he's used to seeing. We've seen those products on the field, and those products could not even get close to winning games. This is a good team. This is a good team that's losing close games, that's going to have a phenomenal position in the draft next year. Look out for Detroit next year, man. Especially if Rodgers leaves that division, it's wide open. It's wide open. Because who do you got there? You got Fields in Chicago who are mediocre, and you got Minnesota with a quarterback that does well statistically, but doesn't know how to win games. Interesting stuff. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it right now. December 2021, next year, Lions are winning their division. I'm calling it. Calling it now. Mark it down. Kenny, put it in the books. Juan Sizemore. I believe if we get 10 wins, we are in the playoffs. 100% right. I've been saying that all year. I've been saying that since week 1. I said 10 wins is going to get you in the playoffs because there's 7 teams now. And if you can win with those 7 teams there, 10 wins, double digits wins should put you in every playoffs. Because you go back statistically throughout history, there's a couple times where double-digit teams didn't make the playoffs, but there was only 6 going in from each conference at the time. Now with the 7, those double-digit teams would have always made the playoffs. I'll do an interesting report on that. Now it's got my statistical mind there spinning. Kenneth Beamer! Kenny, Dotson better get back soon. He got some competition now. Yeah, and Dotson, he was put on injured reserve. I did mark that. We'll see the date. Let me see what date he was put on injured reserve. November 15th. It's a high ankle sprain. I list that as a 4 to 6 week injury. So he was put on injured reserve on the 20th. And to be on injured reserve, you have to miss 3 games. Not 3 weeks. You have to miss 3 games. So the earliest he can be reactivated is actually, I think it's Friday. I think that would be his 3rd game would be after the Minnesota game. Right? Or was it after the, no, I think after the, I think he already hit his 3 games now that I'm looking at it. Because he went on the, what did I say, the 27th, right? Placed on IR on the 27th. So on the 27th, he missed the Cincy game. That's 1. He missed the Baltimore game. That's 2. Nope, that's the 3rd one would have been here for Minnesota. So I miswrote it on the sheet. So that's his 3rd game. So Friday is the earliest he can come back. And that would be really interesting if the Steelers were able to put a guy on injured reserve for under 2 weeks. That is perfect use of injured reserve, getting an extra roster spot while a guy is rehabbing. That would be phenomenal if they're able to do that. I personally don't think I think it's going to take another week or 2 for him to come back and be ready. Because high ankle sprains are just tough, especially for a big dancing bear like lineman. That's a tough injury to have to come back from. So we'll have to see how it goes. But yes, he can come back after 13 days of being out, missing 3 games. And that's the 3 games right there. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool stat. Brian Brown, as long as the Steelers are winning at the end, 100%, my friend, 100%. James Eckley. James, how you doing, my friend? Welcome to the show. Tom essentially said, Ben is playing it by year despite the news reports over the weekend. Do you think the Steelers will stick with Ben, draft a quarterback, or look to free agency to pick up a veteran? Yes. Yes to all of it, to tell you the truth. Because, yeah, I mean, really, like, I personally have been saying, I think this is Ben's last year. I said it going into this year. You don't take a pay cut down to $19 million when you're a $30 million a year quarterback. To come back expect to come back another year, because you've already devalued what you are. And the Steelers really can't afford to pay a quarterback more than that. I mean, they can, I guess, if they're going to go out and get a free agent guy. If you want to go out and get an Aaron Rodgers, or if you want to go out and get what my favorite would be, Russell Wilson. I want Russell Wilson. You give me, I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league, can make every throw. And with this talent, I think he would be a phenomenal player for this team. I don't know if I'm sold on Aaron Rodgers being a locker room guy. Seems to me like he cares a little bit more about himself than he does his teammates. Vaccine. Seems like he cares about a little bit more about himself and dating stars than he does about his teammates. Throwing his teammates under the bus, linemen, receivers, when he's the one making the mistakes with the vaccinations. Doesn't look good. I mean, and he's been pissing off his front office and coach these last couple seasons. There's been rumblings the past couple years, and when there's rumblings, and both of those quarterbacks, both Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, though they are not free agents next year, they both have out clauses next year in their contract. And there's rumblings in both Seattle and Green Bay before this season even started, which means they're already thinking about leaving. They've already left in their mind. They might be out of there. So that would be ideal if Ben leaves. I'd want to get Russell Wilson. He's my number one. That's my number one scenario. Otherwise, you got to go with a draft pick. I don't know if this is the year to get a draft pick, though. Who knows? Pickett, maybe, if he falls to us. I don't see us jumping back up into the top 10 to grab a quarterback, and I don't know if any of the quarterbacks are really a can't miss this season. But we'll have to see. Brian Brown, Striker, what do you think about the way Steelers games are being reffed? Even penalties on the opponent goes against the Steelers, it seems. Robbed of a pick six for an illegal formation. Robbed of a blocked field goal returned for a touchdown. That was the robbery this year. Yeah, that one sucked. Brian, I don't know if you're old enough to remember the 1997 season when we had three league apologies on bad calls at the end of the game that cost the team 3 wins, and they end up missing the playoffs by a game. That's a bad season. I don't think that they're intentionally trying to screw job the Steelers. It looked like a bad game. I mean, especially last week, it looked bad. That pass interference was crap on Minka. But other than that, I think it's been relatively pretty balanced at being bad on both sides of the ball. I mean, we got all the calls in that Chicago game. That Chicago game, like, sometimes you lose games because of officiating. Sometimes you win games because of officiating. That Chicago game, I'd like to give that win to TJ Watt, but I might have to give it to the guys in black and white. The Zebras gave us the win in that game. That was a big one. Moneybags, Dawson has missed 3 games already. Chargers, Bengals, Ray. Okay, so it was Charger. Okay, so yeah, so I did have the date right for being the 6th. So he could have come back. He could have come back already then. If he already missed 3 games, that's the rule for injured reserve. It's not 3 weeks. It's 3 games. So he could have came back just after that Ravens game. So yeah, but he if that's the case, still Moneybags, there's a chance he can be activated tomorrow. There's a chance. So that'll be interesting to see. So we've talked about it tonight, Steeler Nation. If Dotson gets activated, it's because we knew he was out for 3 games already, and we might see him wander onto the field. That'd be nice to get him back that quickly, but I don't know if he's going to be that healthy yet. James Eckley, back again. Great answer. Thanks for the response. I want Russell. If we get free agency and if we had to draft, I would want Kenny Pickett, although that would be difficult to get a draft pick that high. Yeah, but quarterbacks like rise and fall tremendously before the draft. Like, even look at Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they picked Alex Smith right away, and he dropped all the way to the 20s. And the guy's a Hall of Famer. Alex Smith wasn't. So, crazier things can happen. Even on when Ben was drafted that year, the consensus was early on Manning and Roethlisberger were 1 and 2. And, like Cowher said, he liked Phillip Rivers. He thought he was going to be the 3rd one off the board. That wasn't the way it worked out. Ended up going Manning, then Rivers, and then Roethlisberger fell into our lap. And that was a guy they weren't even expecting to fall into our lap. It's like, he should have gone in the top 2. We got him at 3, at 11. Boom. Sign him. I mean, I wanted like Sean Andrews or something stupid because I'm like, Maddox can be our quarterback. Maddox, quarterback of the future. XFL MVP. Go, Tommy Gunn. Yeah, I was a lot younger then. My voice hadn't dropped at the time. But I was big into Maddox. I thought Sean Andrews was the guy. He ended up getting picked up by the Eagles, and he had mental problems. He ended up having to be out of football pretty quickly. Suicidal thoughts, things like that. My prayers go out to him and his family, and he did not kill himself. Obviously, he got the help that he needed, but was never able to be the great player that he could have been because of his demons he had to deal with. So much blessings to him, because mental problems in our country are nothing to make fun of at all. The Barbarian, love the name. Oh, love the Bro-Barian. Sorry, I misread that. It's my Lysdexia working out there. Come on now. We're used to the rest in Steeler games. This is nothing new. And that's the difference, guys. Every team gets hosed by refs. Steeler fans don't complain about it. When it comes down to us, we never ultimately say we lost because of the refs, because there's so many things we could have done to win games. We're not Ravens fans. Ravens fans are always about the refs. As I always say, bad call, bad call. Freaking Ravens fans. Yep, I remember 97. Yeah, that was a rough one, Beams. That was a rough one. Of course, I remember Super Bowl 13. It was my first as a Steeler fan. I was 10. Hell yeah, Beamer. Oh, I'm glad you were there for the long ride, man. Getting to enjoy all of the games with the Super Bowls coming through. I guess was 13. Was that their first one, though? I thought it was like 9 was their first one. You can obviously correct me. You just let me know if that was the one against Minnesota or not. I just can't remember. I can't keep the numbers, the Roman numerals straight in my head. Too many I's and X's. The Brobarian again. What I like about Russell Wilson is he learned two offensive schemes during his college career and became comfortable with both very quickly. He's a smart guy. Like, there's no question, bro, that he is a super intelligent quarterback. That's what I love about him. I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks I've seen. And just putting him in a system where I think that they have a better defense. Like, when he had a great defense before, Legion of Boom, back-to-back Super Bowls, man. Should have won them both. His play calling was the reason why he didn't win that second one. How do you not give that ball to Marshawn, man? Oh, gosh. That's just the worst call ever. Worst call ever. Beat Dallas 35-31, right? Right? Bad call! I always keep it going. Make sure to do that. Anybody that's a Ravens friend, anybody that's a Ravens friend of yours, and they always start complaining to you, and you just start going, bad call! And they can't stand it. They can't stand it when you start throwing that in their face. Those crows. Those old crows. Juan Sizemore, I truly believe Big Ben wants to make a statement with these last few games. Look for big numbers. Hey, Juan, I'd be happy if Ben only had to throw the ball 3 times like Jones did last night. That's what I want out of Ben. I want Najee getting 200 yards, Ben throwing the ball 3 times, and us winning these games, walking away, walking out of the stadium with W's. Because that's the way we're trying to build this team. We're trying to build a power running game. Might take us another year to get all the guys that we want in here, everything clicking specifically, but we're starting to get there. We're starting to get back into a running offense. And honestly, yeah, we might be upset with, maybe we could have had a better lineman than Najee right now. But I don't think we're ever going to get a better running back talent-wise than Najee Harris, where we got him last year, that deep in the draft, the next few years. I don't think there's going to be another running back that good in these next few years. So I think we got our guy at the right time, and I think he's going to be a big playmaker and an all-pro coming up here shortly for us. And I think he's just due to have a blow-up game too. I can't wait to see it. Look up, Beaky Buzzard. That's what Baltimore should put on their helmets. Beaky Buzzard. That's an old reference, Brian. Love it. Love it. I hate the Pats, but that was awesome. Yeah, the Pats, man, it's all about fundamentals. As much as I hate Belichick, right? Belichick, yeah, Belichick. He was like Noel. He's a lot like Chuck Noll was. Fundamentals guy. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's not going to be a spitting in your face kind of guy. Do your job or you'll be replaced. He's not afraid to play 7th rounders, undrafted guys, back then 16th rounders ahead of you. If you're not doing the job, he'll put the guy on the field to do the job, and he'll make for damn sure that they're doing it right. And that's what they did last night. He's not going to put them in a situation with that kind of football issues or that kind of wind issues. Got to do it right. Got to do it right. And that was the way to win. And that's what we should have done, playing the Jets in a snow game or playing Cleveland Browns in that hurricane game that I was at that we lost 9-6 because we had to throw every damn play for Arians. Arians, I don't know what you're thinking. And that Jets game, that one playoff Jets game, drives me nuts too in the snow, where we tried to throw the ball the entire game in the snow, couldn't get any yardage. And we had Bettis on the team at the time. Just keep handing the ball to Bettis. Who cares if we don't get a first down? Hand the ball to Bettis, punt. Eventually, we'll make a play with that defense, and that's how the Patriots won. Keep handing the ball off. Eventually, we'll make a play. They ripped off a big run, got some big defensive plays here and there, and that's how you win games. James Eckley. Going to the Steelers versus Titans game, it'd be my first time at Heinz Field. First time seeing Ben. I've seen Charlie Batch and Duck Hodges play at the Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. Never got to see Ben yet. Well, at least with Charlie Batch, if you watch him play at M&T Bank Stadium, that was a big win. That was the game that they were supposed to win going away, going to the fourth quarter. Charlie Batch brings them back. They don't run the football at all in the fourth quarter, and then they fire their offensive coordinator that game, end up winning the Super Bowl that year. I remember that year. I was actually at that game as well. One of my Ravens friends brought me over to watch that one. But yeah, awesome. Well, welcome to Pittsburgh. Have a great time. Go to Pepe's, get a Roethlisberger, get yourself a Permane sandwich, have the full experience. Check out Carson Street. Great breweries all over the place, man. Great places to eat all over the place anyway. Lots of fun. The Bro Baron, OMG, yes. Najee's X Factor, once in a lifetime player. I'm with you, man. This guy is the most talented running back I've seen on this team. Like, Bettis was the most powerful running back I've ever seen on this team. Bell was the best receiving running back I've ever seen on this team. Najee's the best playmaker I've seen on this team. He makes guys miss when there's nobody there. When there's no room to run, he finds ways to get yardage. And that's the type of receiver, the running back that we need now. And moving forward, when we start getting them holes, look out, because he's going to be the man. Brian Brown, the Steelers only one game behind almost the whole AFC in the playoff picture. We got this. Hell yeah, Brian. And that's where we're going to end this tonight. Great vidcast, guys. As I always say, my favorite cast of the week. I do the color cast over on Apple devices, Mondays at 7 o'clock. Vidcast, always every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And I will have the podcast releasing over at DK Pittsburgh Sports Fridays at 6 o'clock. Jump in. I know they're going to premiere the video at that time. I'll try to jump in the comment section and answer the comments in real time too. So you get answers as we're watching, and we have a great time as always. And guys, we don't have long to wait for our next game, do we? So I'll see you all on Tuesday, because we're all going to be having a great time and hopefully enjoying another great Steelers win in Minnesota. But until then, Steeler Nation, I am Stryker. Follow me at SN_Stryker, Twitter, Instagram, Colorcast, and I will be rooting along with you. As always, go Steelers!